Hey everyone, just wanted to give you a quick heads up. The second Global Product Owner Summit is coming soon. You can get all the details at bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. That's bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. And it's all lowercase, all one word. Oh, and stick with us until the end of the episode to know the dates and the tracks that we have for you in this year's summit. But for now, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Friday, the TGIF and Product Owner episode, this week with Inga Bergmann. Hey, Inga, welcome back.
Hello.
So welcome back to another episode, and of course today is a very special episode. It's the product owner episode, and the product owner role is not only, of course, part of the Scrum framework, but it really is a critical role, and for us it's very important that we work well with the product owner, and therefore also important to understand what are great patterns and not so great patterns of product ownership. We'll talk about great patterns in a minute, but first, and to get us started, Inga, share with us what might have been potentially the worst product owner anti-pattern you've witnessed in your career.
I remember one specific situation. There was so many years ago, I was still working in an office in Berlin. I was going into the office and we were sitting there with the whole Scrum team. We had a product refinement, and the PO was giving interest to the stories, and the engineers were having a conversation about what to do with it and asking questions to understand what would be the desired outcome of that story. And what they usually then would do is estimating the story on numbers. Okay, let's not open the box of Pandora about estimating, but they did it. So what that happened actually is that they did the planning poker thing. I think they did planning poker by then. And they came up with a number, let's say, was an 8. I think an 8 or a 13, rather high for that team. So, and PO was sitting there saying, no, that's too high. I don't think that's that complex or that big. So we need to make this must be smaller number. And everybody was sitting there like being clueless and petrified, and really, it was a really sharp tension in the air, obviously. And it was just cutting into the trust on all levels for the team members. It was really, really tough to see.
When you think about this product owner specifically, and of course sometimes perhaps some people listening to us right now are facing that situation, we need to be able to work with all kinds of product owners. Now, of course, we may decide not to, and that's still a possibility. But if we do want to work with this type of product owner, somebody who just took a statement like what you just said in a refinement meeting, what can we do? Like, what would you do if you had a time machine and you could go back in time and be there in the same place and going through the same situation? What would you do as a Scrum Master?
I would probably ask the PO why they think so, and what try with different questions to understand what's their actual need behind needing the number to be lower. Is it really that they think because of wrong assumption that this is really smaller work to be done? Or is it that they also experience some sort of pressure from somewhere else and they kind of just are not capable of stating that, but rather trying to push the team to put it slower because that would ease their own pressure. So I think oftentimes that's what's happening, that people are just projecting their own felt pressure onto other team members because they cannot cope differently. But I would really try to help to understand where this is coming from, but do this. I didn't do it back then, but I would try to do it now, is to have the conversation openly in front of everybody to work the tension out together.
For me, one of the key things that is important to accept is that people's reactions are not necessarily shallow, right? Like there might be a lot of things behind it, just like you indicated, right? Like go deeper, try to understand why. And for me, the key aspect for us as Scrum Masters is to go deeper in that conversation, but not to create a conflict, because it's very easy to then just say, why? Why do you think so, right? And have this more aggressive stance and kind of lead to a little bit more conflict and tension, but rather to ask from a point of curiosity. And I don't know what you do in practice these days, but one thing that helps me is to try to phrase an intention or some kind of reason, right? Like, I hear you say that the estimation is too large, probably because you want to have this out earlier. Is that so? Right? Like, trying to understand that, of course, trying to avoid potentially minefields that might be in any of those statements, but trying to phrase it from the product owner's perspective. Now, that doesn't always work, but at least to open the conversation so that it's not a conflict or a resistance towards the PO statement, but rather curious question.
Yeah, and you also said that with the why, we oftentimes hit minefields, and that's why I always try to not ask questions with the why. Instead of asking why are you saying that, ask what's the reasons behind your statement. It's the same question, but such a different tone. So whenever possible, I try not to ask why, but make a what question out of it, and it's such a difference already.
Yeah, absolutely. The why questions can be quite inquisitive and can put people in a very uncomfortable position. So, of course, this is an example of a product owner that perhaps overstepped their boundaries, perhaps were under pressure. There could be many reasons why this happens. But there are also great product owners out there, Inga. So share with us what might have been potentially the best product owner you've ever worked with. How did they work?
It was the same company I was referring to just now with the bad PO, but there was also the opposite of it happening with another team I was working with, where they had a really, really great PO. And what really stood out for me from that person was that they were very empathetic and they were a very caring person at first. So they were really interested in the person, as the team member, as a person behind their roles, and he wanted to connect with them, and he wanted to be aware of the context of those people. So it was really about connecting with the people in the first place before going into work mode. So there was really this bonding happening in that team, so that they could rely on each other and they had a trustful relationship. So that this was one of the most impregnant moments also for me in my career, where I saw that caring about people in the first place really, really is gold.
Yeah, absolutely. People first, right? Like we have a book coming up shortly in April 2024 called Shift from Product to People, where the authors talk about how do you organize development from a people-centric perspective, helping people excel and do what they do best, right? Like, we are creative as people, and sometimes we go to work and our creativity disappears. But caring and being heard makes us more creative, right? And I think this is a great story from that perspective that shows the impact that this approach, this people-centric approach, can have when POs really take it seriously.
Totally. What I also noticed when working with this person is that they were really sharing context in both directions. So there was also sharing context towards the team when it was about new features, new things to achieve, but also sharing context from the team to the stakeholders, so that there was really a joint understanding of each other. What could they achieve? What was possible? What was realistic, but also feasible? So there was really a dialogue happening. And the PO was really the connecting dot there, that it was straying in both directions, and which worked really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that ability to create the shared context becomes, for the PO at least, it's so much easier to then communicate, right? Because you can refer to different things, different ideas. But of course, for the team, it's incredibly important because they are creating something based on the feature and stories descriptions. And if they don't understand the context, they don't understand, how it's used and why it's created and what's the ultimate goal of the user and so on. So context is really important.
Yeah.
So Inga, we're getting close to the end, unfortunately, but before we go, do share with us, where can people find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
Oh, they can find me on LinkedIn and connect with me on LinkedIn. Sometimes I'm active there, sometimes I'm not. I'm not that big of a post person, but if they reach out, I'm always open for a coffee or a chat or whatever they need.
Absolutely. And in these remote days, having a virtual coffee is so easy.
Exactly.
And why not? Everybody reach out to Inga on LinkedIn and ask a few follow-up questions. Inga, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Thank you for having me. It was, as I said in the first episode, I was super nervous because it was my first podcast recording, but I think now I'm savvy for more. So thanks for having this so comfortable for me.
I'm happy to hear that. Thank you. Hi there, Agile friends. Thank you for sticking around and listening to the details of the Product Owner Summit, this year's global summit dedicated to a critical Scrum role, the product owner role, of course. We'll have some amazing keynotes and 4 tracks filled with first-hand stories and experiences for product owners to learn more about that critical Scrum role. The summit will take place between April 23rd and 25th, so book your calendars. There will be loads of sessions for you to attend. One of the keynotes will be Dave West, the product owner and CEO at Scrum.org, one of the largest Scrum organizations in the world. If you want to know more, check out the details at bit.ly/product owner 2024. That's all one word, all lowercase, bit.ly/product owner 2024. We will also have 4 tracks. The 4 tracks will cover cross-functional product ownership. That's track 1. As Pixar's Ratatouille said, not every idea can be a great idea, but a great idea can come from anywhere. And this quote emphasizes the importance of a product owner being open to all ideas, regardless of the source, and also challenges us to focus on getting good ideas from everywhere and involving the whole team in the product owner role and responsibilities. The second track is Designing Products for Growth, where we explore how to craft products ready for scalable growth, merging practical strategies with innovation. The idea here is to learn to design products for growth, whether it is sales or customer acquisition. The third track is Know Your Users, user-centric approaches for Agile development. In this track, we learn to master user-centric techniques in Agile development, to deeply understand customer needs and transform insights into meaningful UX designs that focus on engagement and satisfaction. This is a track ideal for innovation-focused Agile teams. And the fourth track, one of the most exciting tracks in my opinion, is product development with AI, ideas for product owners. Not only do we discuss about using AI in the products, but also AI for product owners to learn to make a bigger impact with the help of the AI tools that we already have. The Product Owner Summit will also present to you great opportunities to network with your peers. So get your ticket and join our Slack. You can get the ticket and join the Slack at bit.ly/product owner 2024. As always, we have free tickets and also the paid tickets that help to support this podcast. So check them out at bit.ly/product owner 2024. That's all lowercase, all one word, product owner 2024. I'll see you in the summit floor.